Hello everyone, welcome to the Cardboard Dungeon. I'm Stu.
And I'm Pat.
Today we'll be discussing and talking about the game Kings of Air and Steam. It was designed by Scott Alms and it was published by Tasty Minstrel Games, or TMG. And they have a lot of very cool games out nowadays. You can even check them out on their Kickstarter page, so give you guys a little push for some business maybe. But it's a very enjoyable game. So it's a simple pick up and deliver game. So throughout the course of the game, players will be utilizing airships that we have, as you can see on our board here in the center, and we'll move around this various countryside, picking up different goods from factories, and then we will ship them to different towns in the game. So the game looks very complicated. It almost, I'd say, is very complicated, just with a lot of the components you can see, but it's actually just very simple once you get into the swing and the rules of the game. So there are we have some character boards here actually, and these simply show your upgrade track for your airship, which is located on the top here. On the lower portion here we have a train track, and that is necessary for delivering or shipping goods to the cities. And then it has a nice little game round overview in the center here, and then on the side there's also additional actions that you'll have the ability to take throughout the course of the game. So simply to win the game, it's essentially to score the most victory points. And you can accomplish that one of a few ways. One is simply by having a lot of money. At the end of the game, each dollar that you have will count as one victory point. You also score 10 points per these little depot figures that we each have, and we each have 10 of these to start the game. You also will score points based on the progress that you've upgraded both your airship and your train at the end of the game, so you can score additional points that way. So throughout the course of the game, the basic play is essentially a small programming phase will take place. Each different character has a different stack of movement cards here, which have numbers on them and then a corresponding letter on the top. Let's just pull out one here that you can look at. So for example, this card here, and they're ranged anywhere from usually 0 to 5, and each character does have one special card as well, but that's not important to this situation explanation. So the number here usually will just correspond to the number of spaces that you'll be able to move your airship on a turn, and then the top letter here simply just correlates to who will be able to go first on a certain turn in the game. So there's actually, on each game round, which is a total of 5, you will then first, each player will choose 4 different movement cards to move their airships around the board for that first round in the game. And the goal of what you're trying to do, obviously, is pick up the goods, deliver them to your depots that you have located on the board, and then ship those goods from your depots to every corresponding city on the board, or the different specific cities. So of those, you'd simply place 4 cards face down here, and then you could simply push them underneath your tracker in the locations that you'd like. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your actual boards here. And then simultaneously, everyone will reveal their first card and then take movement actions based on that. So of the goods that there are in the game that we will be delivering, there are 5 main good types. So first we have down here machinery, or kind of steel workings, and those are located on the factories on the board. There's also luxury goods, which are gold goods. We also have food, which is represented by these bread. Chemicals, which is the pink, and then we also have textiles, which are the beige. So these will be placed and resupplied throughout the course of the game on the board, and we'll be able to pick up these goods and deliver them to our depots to get to the cities. And whenever you do deliver a good successfully to a city, you will then collect income from that, which you then can use that income to upgrade your train, upgrade your airship, or simply save it for endgame when you want to just score points at the end then. So, like I said, it's very complicated originally, but once you start playing it, it really flows very smoothly, and it's very simple overall. Let's see. So if we look over here, we have specifically, this is called the demand or market track. And what we have here on the right side are different share tiles, essentially, of different goods that are located on the board. So every round, 3 tiles will be flipped from this stack and flipped face up onto these 3 spots on the demand track. Now there are, all the different types of tiles located in there. So for every tile that's revealed then, the different goods here will go up in price. And these are the selling prices or delivery prices of these goods for this upcoming round. So if this is going to be our starting round for me and Pat here. So in this case, gold will go up 2 slots up to a 6 price for the round. So if you're able to deliver any gold, you'll actually get the most money. And then machine, or luxuries I should say, and machinery will go up to 5 then for the round. So the goods will increase throughout the course of the game. So if you're able to collect the certain goods earlier, that'll be more beneficial for you because you'll have more money to utilize. Let's see. So there's a lot of components to the game. There's a lot of different characters. You can play 2 to 6 players with the game itself. There's extra boards here and edge pieces that allow you to connect tracks to connect to all the different cities, and it adds a lot of extra goods and possibilities for different players when they're playing. Paper money is utilized in this game, which is a little different than more of the American style games you'd say would utilize those. But the game is really fun. It's, without going into too much detail and boring you over these things you can just simply read in the rule book, I figure me and Pat could simply kind of get right into some play turns of this and some of the specifics of how, maybe a little bit more how the trains have to be, how you can ship your goods, I'd say. So,
all right, so we're going to do a brief gameplay demo, play a few rounds for you guys, and you can see what it looks like to play Kings of Air and Steam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know there's so many rules. I'm not sure what would specifically I would need to tell you, but if we come up with some more things I can explain a bit further on how we can deliver these goods, I'll definitely let us all know, obviously. So before the game and the explanation here and the talk with you guys, me and Pat had a chainsaw juggling contest, which he was the victor of. So
it was fun.
He's going to begin the game and the starting rounds for us here.
All right, so my character that we chose before we started here is this guy here, Thaddeus Birch. And these character tiles you get, they're double-sided, so there's a character on each side, and you pick whichever one you want to be during the game. They each have a special ability. My ability is called Intimidate, and I can use my opponent's depots for free. So normally during the game, when you go to ship goods, you need to ship them from your depots to a city, and you can ship through a train track that has an opponent's depot on it, but then you have to give them some money to do that. So this guy doesn't have to pay when he uses somebody else's depot, so that's kind of cool. So the beginning of the game, though, like Stu said, the first thing we're going to do before we play is the first round, we're going to lay out our actions, right? We're going to program our airships to see what they're going to do. So let's do that real quick here. And
then while he's doing that, I'll show you my character. I am Flora Kingston. She has market sense, it says. And when it says, when you fulfill a city, choose the new demand tile instead of drawing one. And when an opponent fulfills a city, you'll draw 2 demand tiles and pick which tile you'd like to use. So on the board here, if you look, we have these cities, which have spots for up to 5 different tokens. And as those are filled up, so once 5 tokens are reached, any extra demand tiles that we have that will be, because these will be shoved off in further game rounds, these will be drawn at random and placed onto top of cities for a new demand for that round. Now, with my ability, I actually get to choose that tile if I fill the city or finish fulfilling the city of its goods. But if someone else fulfills it, I can then essentially pick one of 2 tiles that they will draw at random then from their stack. So
yeah, I played her last time we played, and that was she was pretty powerful, I thought.
Yeah, it helps. Okay, so I need to play some cards too.
So while Stu's choosing his actions there, basically when you're choosing your airship actions in this game, what you want to do is you're going to program out for the whole round. And like most programming games, Robo Rally, for example, you can get screwed up if you can plan perfectly, and an opponent can jump in and take a good you were going for, and then you can just have useless actions for the rest of the round, and there's nothing you can do about that. Usually you have to change your plans or go somewhere else. So you want to try to think about what your opponents are doing as well as what you want to do, and especially in a small map like this, with 2 players we'll probably have a little bit of breathing room, but you can get 3 players in a map this small, and then there's a lot of cutthroat type activity, everybody going for the same goods. And another thing, before the game starts, you do your initial placement, which we did before we started, but then the goods move. So you saw Stu move the value of the goods here, and gold went up twice, or the luxury goods, the gold token, which is beneficial to me because I'm right next to one here, so I'm pretty happy about that.
So as the game does progress as well, with our airship cards we'll be playing, there are certain cards that you won't necessarily be able to play in your hand at the beginning. But as your ship upgrades, which I can show you on here, we have simply, whenever you upgrade your ship, it just costs the value located. And that's both for the airship and even the train here located on the bottom. But for airship specifically, it has a diamond value, as it's called. And also there's a value below it. That's just, number 2 to 3, 4, 5. And the number below it is simply your hold, your space you have within the airship. So that's the number of goods you can hold at one time within the hold, within the airship if you're picking up goods. The diamond value simply correlates to maybe the power your ship would have. Maybe like your engines are more powerful or souped up. And those correspond to the cards that you have in your hand. So as you increase the airship, there are certain cards that have diamonds on them, and you'll be able to actually start playing some of those diamond cards to maybe get further distances, or maybe be able to move before an opponent will, thus giving you the advantage to maybe pick up a good that they might have been going for. So more strategy things later on as you upgrade your airship, along with getting more goods that you can get to your depots to deliver, which will give you more points then throughout the game. So I have my cards programmed. Do you also have as well?
Yeah, so we're going to reveal our number 1 action for the round.
Yep, so
I've got a 2 with a letter C, and so do you.
And I have the same thing. A lot of the cards are very similar for most of the characters. There usually is one special card that's actually in there that's character specific, but for the most part they have the same type of hand. Yep, so I have the 2C. Pat also does. I think for a tiebreaker for this game, I'll just have Pat defer to Pat for this, but usually you'll use your character cards.
Yeah, we go to the character card and the number down in the corner. So the lower number acts first, right? That's how this goes.
So.
Yep. So
yes.
you would actually go first on this because we tied. You have a lower number, so.
Okay. All that chainsaw juggling for nothing, huh?
Well, I got to place my airship first.
I guess, you did get to put your airship out earlier. That's right. So, all right. So I'll move 2 then. So I'm going to move 2, and simply on each of the hexagon spaces, you just simply move 1, 2, and you stop. And now immediately after the end of your movement phase, if you're landed on an area that has a good, like this factory does, you can automatically, for a free action, you could say, load or unload any goods you have in your airship. So I'm going to load this textile into my airship, and I put it in my hold there, and it will simply stay there. So after that then, now each player, and then Pat will follow after me in my turn here, will get to choose to do one additional action. Now these are the actions that I did mention. If you want to hold me on those boards so I don't have to mess mine up. We have on the blue text here, and these are multiple different actions that you can then take along with loading or unloading goods on your turn. So one thing you could do is build another depot. Now, depots will cost 4, but you simply just add it to the track. And you simply just can't put a depot in a hexagon space that already has a depot in it. But you can put it anywhere on the board that has a rail track. The next action you could do is upgrade your airship or your train. And that simply just pays the cost of your money that you have to upgrade it to the next level. You can't pay, say, like 5 or 6 to go up 2 levels. You can simply only upgrade 1 level per action. You could also ship goods, which you use an action then to ship any goods you have at your depots on the board to a city, and then you'll collect the funds based on the good that you send. And then you can also do a route adjustment, which if you realize someone messed you up because they played a movement card before you and you're just a space off from getting somewhere you wanted to get, you can simply move the additional space with your airship and then maybe load a good that you wanted originally. And then the last thing you can do is simply solicit funds, which you should simply get $3 from the bank, which you can use for whatever purposes later on in the game. And we will each then do these actions after each movement turn during each round.
Yep, you pick one action after you move. So what's your action, Stu?
So of this, I think I'm going to build a depot. So I'm going to pay $4 to the bank here. Put 5 in there, and I'll take 1, and I'm going to put a depot. And this is an open track here that I can place this on. I'm going to put it right there for $4.
Okay, well, I'm going to move my airship too. And when you're moving your airships in this game, the heading at the start of your turn doesn't matter. You can turn it to face any direction that you want. But then as it moves, you can either move in a straight line or you can turn it basically one facing on the hexagon, left to right. So you can't make really sharp turns, but you can make these small turns like this. So I started out over here, and I'm going to go 1 and turn, and then 2. I'm going to load that luxury good right here into my ship. And then for my action, I'm also going to build a depot. You put your depot on the line that I wanted, Stu. So I'm going to put it on the other space on that track, but now I have to pay more. So it's going to cost me $7 to build, since Stu already has a depot on that track. It's 4 if the track has nobody else's depot on it already. 7 if it does.
And what constitutes a track is simply the distance between two cities if there's a rail. This is simply one track. So since I already had mine here, and it costs 4 when you build the first player to build in the track, Pat had to pay 7 in order to build his there. So, all right. So now we simply go to our next movement phase then as well.
All right. I played a 2 again.
I played a 3D.
All right, so I'm going first this time because my C
His C outranks my D this time. So.
All right, so I'm going 2 again. I'm just going to go back to where I started, which is where my depot is, and I'm going to drop off my luxury goods. And then I'm going to, since I'm low on money, now I spent more than half of my money, I think my action will be to ship. So when you go and ship goods, they're going to go along the track, stopping at each of your depots along the way, and they're going to go as far as your railroad rating, or your train rating, which is on the board down here. Everybody starts with a train rating of 1, which means that I can go one link or one space, which would be from my depot to the city. So I've got 1. And as you upgrade your train, you can go farther as far as shipping goods go. So that's pretty simple there. So I'm going to put my luxury good on this city of Warsaw that wants luxury goods. And they're worth $6, so I'm going to take $6 from the bank. And that's the end of my turn.
Okay. So now I take my movement in an action phase. So I'm going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. I move to my newly constructed depot, which I will then unload my good onto there. And then for my next action, or my action I should say, I will choose to then also actually build an additional depot. And it'll cost me 4 more because I'm building on a track that doesn't have any depots on it currently. And I'm going to place that one right here. That is my turn.
All right, so now our third move of the round.
Yep.
I played a 1 with the letter B.
I played a 2C.
So that's me again, and I'm just going to jog 1 space from my depot here over to this chemical plant. Pick up this pink chemical cube. And then for my action, I'm going to pay $2. So I get 3 back there, and I'm going to upgrade my airship 1 space here. And that's important to me because that gives me 1 diamond to spend on a movement card. And okay, I'm done.
Which isn't good though, but I'm going to pay $2 to upgrade my train up to its next ranking. So now I have a 2 train movement now instead of simply a 1 there.
All right.
Yep.
So our last card, I've got a 1 with an A.
I have a 3 with a D.
So that was important for me to upgrade my airship because my last movement card has a diamond on it. And I need to have a diamond rating of 1 to play that, so which I do now. So,
and just so you do know, in the game, the diamonds are cumulative. So if you have an airship like Pat does now as a train rating airship rating with 1 diamond, he can only play 1 diamond throughout all 4 movements. He can't play all the 1 diamond cards he owns. Simply the total diamonds he has can only sum to 1.
So I'm moving 1 space and let's see, back to my depot and dropping off my chemicals. And for my action, I will ship those chemicals down the track here to Etherton for $4. There you go.
Okay, $4 for you.
All right.
Okay. So my last movement, I had a 3D card, so I get to move 3 now with my airship. 1, 2, 3, which I will then pick up this food good here, store it in my hold. And now for my last action, I am going to ship my textiles from my depot here to the city over here. So the way my train works then, or the train's going to work then for me, is I have a train lane of 2, and that is required for me to make my good delivery to that city. And so the way it works then is now I will actually simply pass through this luxury city and move to a next depot on a new track. So my movement will be from this depot, 1 shipping good distance to here, to this depot of mine, and then 2 to deliver it to the city itself. And that's kind of how the train movement will work if you're further than 1 distance away from a city. So by delivering that then, I'll get $4, which I put 1 back, take a 5, and that concludes the round itself. So now we collect our cards. There's also a slight upkeep phase. So at this point, if you have any goods, Pat or myself, in our depots on the board or in our airship holds, we'll have to pay money to keep those goods if we want. It's simply $1 per good. Since I have 1 food still, I'm going to pay $1 to keep that because I'll be able to make more money off it, hopefully in the next round. And then, let's see, we'll also clear off the market now. So everything in the market will produce again. So every factory will produce 1 good. So we'll simply add a cube to each of the factories on the board. And then additionally, for every color or good type that's shown on the market share this round, they'll actually also produce an additional good. So now this time, the machine factory will actually gain 1 more good as well. So they'll get 2 goods this round. And then the luxury goods here will actually both get 2 additional tiles, or tokens, or production goods. So there'll actually be 3 tiles that will be added for the luxury goods instead of just the normal 2. And those are simply added to these locations that have the circular space, and these signify factories on the board themselves.
Alrighty.
These goods then are flipped over, and then now the market is then refreshed with new goods, which are then adjusted correspondingly on the board.
Yeah, luxury goods just hit the max value.
Yeah, there's nothing past 8 on the board, so if you see another luxury good come up, it wouldn't change anything. But it jumped out to the start there. So if you're able to get luxury goods, you'll be getting a lot of money pretty quickly. So.
I feel like my airship is in a nice position here, and I'm just going to do the same thing again.
Damn.
Come over here to these luxury goods, and my ship capacity is 3, so I can take all of these, suck it up with my industrial strength airship vacuum right into my hold. And for my action, I am going to, let's see, I don't need to upgrade my train, so why don't I build another depot? Here you go. Another depot is going to go on the board. Let's see, how about over here? That's a good spot for it. All right. Go ahead, Stu.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to head this way. There's not a whole lot I can do. So this is an important thing that can happen. So I did end my turn on this factory here, and it does have this food good. Now, I don't have the ability, or the characters, you don't usually have the ability to pick up goods on the space you're currently on. You actually have to play a movement card, which in this case would have to be a 0 movement in order to load the good. It's only at the end of your turn that you will be able to pick up, load, or unload goods in that regard. So I wouldn't be able to pick this up right now. So I'm simply going to have to move away and leave this good behind, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of the rules of the game. So I'm going to head this way. 1, 2, 3. And, well, instead I'll go here for 3. I'm not going to go that way. I'll stand right there. And now I get to choosing an action of my choosing. And, well, forget that again. I'm going to backtrack again. So instead of going here, I am going to go here. Now instead, since I am simply, as you can see, 1 movement away, I'm going to use as my action a route adjustment. And that allows me to move my airship 1 more space, and then following that, I get to do 1 additional load or unload action. So I'm going to then unload this brown good onto my depot. And then that's my turn for my movement.
Your pilot really gave it his all. that time.
He did.
Put extra power into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that might have been something that I didn't quite clearly explain, and I should reference that, is that when you do use the ship goods action, you will actually ship one type of goods, but you can ship as many as possible or as legally possible to a city. So since Pat had 4 spots still at this Warsaw location, he was able to send all 3 of his one type of luxury goods to that city to collect as much as he could. And with the ship action at the beginning, of course, you're only sending 1 or 2, but with this huge boost in luxury goods, he was able to get that big bonus here fairly early in the game too.
I think this is a good time too to talk about what happens when you fill up a city's demand. So each city starts with a demand of 5, and you want to go ahead and tell everybody what happens when you fill that 5th space.
Yeah,
so it's probably not going to happen during our demo.
It's not going to happen probably during the demonstration, so we'll say for demonstration's sake, the city will be filled then with 5. Whoever completes it then will then actually normally choose from the discarded demand tiles or market tiles that were shown earlier. So we already know that what's in there roughly at the moment.
It's a random choice.
But it's a random choice. My character actually will allow me to actually choose certain tiles to place out there instead. But for the sake of this, I'll just kind of throw one at random. But normally, they would then just choose randomly from the stack, whoever filled the city up, a certain tile type. Those would be removed from the board, and then this would be flipped up and become the new type of good that would be used.
Look, they want more luxury goods.
So they'd want more luxury goods. They're luscious.
They're very rich.
They're very rich.
And then if you fill up the second demand tile of a city, so if we put 3 more luxury goods on that, then that tile would just flip over, and that city is sated. They don't want anything else for the rest of the game. They're happy, and for all intents and purposes, they don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that that's given you an idea of what it's like to play Kings of Air in Steam. And like Stu said, this would continue. Each round we would refresh these market tiles, and the game's going to end actually in the last round when there are no more market tiles left. So we go to the last 3, put them out there, and then we play out that last round. And at the end of the game, it's just whoever has the most money plus the victory points from their depots on the board. And then bonus victory points if you've upgraded your airship and or your train significantly enough to earn points.
Yep. I personally really enjoy the game. I read about it just about a little over a year ago, probably now, and I was very intrigued and really wanted to try it out. And so I was able to get my hands on a copy, and I'm very happy with it. It's a complicated game, but in reality, a very simple game. And that sounds like a confusing statement, obviously, contradictory in its own nature, but it's not very too complicated. You'll pick up on it really quickly, and then once you know some of the more specifics, which you can look more into if you have a yearning to experience the game yourself in the future, though. So I definitely really enjoy this game. Pat, what do you think on the game?
I like it a lot too, and it's kind of surprising. First of all, though, like Stu said, it is a game that takes a while to explain, which is weird because it's a very simple game, and it feels like to me the length of time that goes into the explanation of the game before you play, hitting on all the rules and everything, takes longer, and people start to get nervous that it's going to be this ridiculously complex game, and then you start playing, and it's just super easy and fast and intuitive. It's got a real good rule set, and once you play around, everybody just kind of clicks and it flows really nicely. It's almost not even a game that you need to play a whole game or two before you have an idea of what to do. It's real simple. You're trying to pick up the goods and make money off of them, and everybody understands the most money at the end is the goal. But like I said, overall, I like the game. I like it quite a bit, and I've always had fun playing it. One thing I would say, though, is I don't think I'd play it with 6 people. I think that would just take way too long.
Yeah,
I like it with 3 or 4.
I figure 3 or 4 people is probably optimum. It's even fun 2-player. There's not as much like 3 or 4 though. You get a bit more. It can be a bit more cutthroat at times then, which some people will enjoy, other people won't. For a beginner's game though, even the 2-player game is very well out, just because it doesn't take as long, and you can learn the mechanics pretty easily and not be fighting for goods necessarily right off the bat. So. Very fun game. I definitely really enjoy it. Recommend it to anyone out there. Hope we've piqued your interest in the game itself. And
yeah, we like it. Thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeon. And thanks to Jason, our cameraman, editor, everything else that he does behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Good job, Jason. Goodbye.
This is the silent shot, by the way.